Thanks a lot for that great introduction of mine to the audience, and also very good morning to all of you. My greetings to the esteemed audience attending this virtual second edition of Samannati and Economic Times Farmer Producers Organizations Virtual Summit and also Awards 2021. The theme of this FPO Summit has been aptly titled Stories of Stable and Sustainable Growth for Farmers, with its focus on issues like regulations and policies, capital and financing, marketing and awareness, input and output supply chains, and also agrotech and innovations. These are indeed issues which are both contemporary and forward-looking in nature, especially due to challenges posed by the pandemic during the last 1 year, sudden resurgence and spike right at this moment, and the potential it has to redefine the entire agricultural value chain. Though the COVID-19 pandemic had challenged the agriculture value chain during the calendar year 2020, the resilience of agriculture sector was largely due to the unrelenting efforts put in by the farmers who ensured continued agricultural production coupled with the innovative value chain approaches to ensure continued supply of agri products to the end consumers. Instances of the critical role played by the FPOs have also emerged and have been reasonably well documented. Before I delve deep into issues like collectivization of farmers, the steps taken by NABARD in this direction, and the issues and way forward for the sector, let me pause and give a brief background on the status of agriculture sector in our country. Agriculture plays a very crucial role in the growth of Indian economy. Besides providing food security to the nation, agriculture provides employment, provides savings, contributes to market of industrial goods, and earns foreign exchange. The share of agriculture in GDP has reached almost 20% for the first time in the last 17 years, making it the sole bright spot in GDP performance during 2021, according to the economic survey. The resilience of the farming community in the face of adversities made agriculture the only sector to have clocked a positive growth of 3.4% at constant prices in 2021, when others slid. The share of agriculture in GDP, as I told, increased to 19.9% in 2021 from 17.8% last year. The last time the contribution of agriculture sector in GDP at 20% was in 2003-04. Even today, more than 60% of workforce in the rural areas are engaged in agriculture, and it is to be noted that the growth of the sectors and overall economy depends on the performance of agriculture to a considerable extent. Because of these reasons, agriculture continues to be the dominant sector in Indian economy. India's production of food grains has been increasing every year, and India is among the top producers of several crops such as wheat, pulses, rice, sugarcane, cotton. It is the highest producer of milk and second highest producer of fruits and vegetables in the world. However, the agricultural productivity is found to be lower as compared to other top producing countries such as China, Brazil, and United States. Although India ranks third in production of rice, yield is lower than Brazil, China, and the United States. The same trend is observed for pulses, where India is the largest producer. At present, we have close to 157 million hectares under agriculture use. Over the years, the area has been fragmented into smaller pieces of land. The average size of operational holdings has decreased from 2.28 hectares in 1970-71 to 1.84 hectares in 80-81 and to 1.14 hectares in 95-96. And it is just a very low amount of 1.08 hectares in 2015-16. Considering the declining trends observed in size of agricultural holdings in the past and the prospective increase in population over time, the fragmentation of holdings is likely to continue, and the average size of operational holdings is expected to further decrease in the country. Thus, the key issues affecting agriculture are fragmentation of agricultural land holdings, leading to low marketable surplus, continued dependence of farmers on monsoon, inadequate access to irrigation, imbalanced use of soil nutrients, uneven access to modern technology, lack of access to formal agricultural credit, inefficient procurement and marketing, and above all, failure to get remunerative prices to agricultural produce, and negative terms of trade. Having identified the key issues affecting the agriculture, let me now turn to the concept of collectivization of farmers and the potential that it holds to transform the agriculture, especially from the point of view of the small farmers, which is the topic for the day. So while talking about collectivization of farmers, I would like to inform that lack of farmers' access to quality inputs, modern technologies, organized markets, fragmented supply chain, and weak post-harvest agri-logistics have resulted in high dependence of farmers on the exploitative intermediaries and local money lenders. In this regard, small and marginal farmers, who constitute around 86.2% of the total land holdings and own a land of around 47% of the crop area, are the most affected. Therefore, the small land holding based agriculture is gradually becoming unsustainable and commercially unviable, thus causing low productivity and farmers' distress. So collectivization farming through FPOs has therefore emerged as a potential tool to transform agriculture into a sustainable business by taking advantage of the economies of scale. FPOs are farmers' collectives with membership comprising mainly of small and marginal farmers, formed with the objective to improve farmers' income through increased returns. FPOs combine the spirit of cooperatives and also the professionalism of the corporates in bringing the agri-value chain as a key direct player. Presently, there are 9,000 FPOs covering 4.3 million small farmers are in existence in the country. And these FPOs are formed under various initiatives of Government of India, including SFAC, NABARD, state governments, corporates, and civil societies organizations. Here, I would just like to say really what role did NABARD play in collectivization of farmers or FPOs. Let me delve into the seminal role played by NABARD, the developmental financial institution of the country. NABARD's initiatives to promote collectivization has resulted in promoting around 9,000 FPOs, which are more than 58%, that is almost 5,060 FPOs were formed out of the 9,000 FPOs in the country. Over the years, NABARD has emerged as a leading organization in promotion and nurturing of FPOs and also in facilitating creation of appropriate ecosystem for sustainable growth. So we took additional initiatives with support of key stakeholders to facilitate sustainable growth of FPOs, like promotion of these number of FPOs through our Producers Organization Development Fund and also the produce funds with a support of around 430 crores. These FPOs have of 13.78 lakh members, majority of whom are small and marginal farmers. NABARD is also an implementing agency under the new GYS scheme of promotion of FPOs and aims to promote about 4,000 FPOs under this new scheme. Credit facilitation to the extent of rupees 218 crores for 675 FPOs through NAB Kisan, a subsidiary of NABARD, we have done. Further, to facilitate and encourage mainstream banks to finance FPOs, a guidance note on financing of FPOs has been circulated among banks through the Indian Institute of Bank Management. And the 818 FPOs promoted by NABARD have been credit linked so far. In order to encourage financial institutions who are having some kind of a skepticism about financing these collectives to extend credit to the FPOs, NABARD had set up a subsidiary by name NAB Samrakshan Trustee Private Limited to provide credit guarantee to the FPOs to an extent of 85% up to 1 crore of financing and 75% up to 2 crores of financing. The credit guarantee will be provided by a dedicated trust set up through this NAB Samrakshan for the FPOs. Among the FPOs promoted by NABARD so far, I am happy to say that 2,135 are market linked and 2,533 have obtained licenses for their business activities. Realizing the criticality of capacity building of FPOs and other stakeholders, NABARD has been supporting regular training and capacity building through its training establishments. Given the strength of that the FPOs hold in transforming the agricultural space, one would normally expect a rapid upscaling of FPOs in our country. But these institutions do come with their own challenges and issues. What are those issues which we have observed in the past 8-9 years? These initiatives hitherto have certainly demonstrated increase in net income of farmers, improved access to inputs, agro services, and direct marketing facilities. These achievements are, however, limited to some FPOs and in some pockets. FPOs are a game-changing institutional mechanism, especially for small and marginal farmers. However, the critical issues that the FPOs continue to face include lack of technical skills and professional manpower for business planning, poor capital base and inability to provide collaterals, absence of credit history and subsequent poor borrowing capacity, which limits the credit infusion, inadequate market intelligence and limited access to the organized markets, weak basic infrastructure for aggregation, storage, transport, and valuation, and a lack of awareness across the spectrum of stakeholders. I would like to put in the inverted commas again. It is the lack of awareness across the spectrum of stakeholders, that is the FPOs, which are CEOs, board of directors, lenders, government departments, development agencies, marketplace. This we have encountered at various levels and in various instances. Then the inadequate handholding up for FPO management, meeting regulatory statute and statutory compliances. These are very difficult things for the people who are not having much of a knowledge about the corporate kind of dealings. So the long-term sustainability of FPOs can be achieved only through appropriate strategies and interventions that address the key challenges such as weak internal governance and management, lack of business acumen, access to credit, onerous compliance requirements, professional support, hand-holding, and also suitable training framework. So it is therefore imperative that these issues need to be addressed by creating appropriate environment to harness their full potential. Now, a question is being raised, really, what is the role of technology in this FPO ecosystem? So I say that technology has got a predominant role in this entire FPO management. With the increasing number of FPOs and players in the agri value chain, technology has the potential to provide solutions to address the issues of information, linkages, and support services to FPOs. And in this context, it is noteworthy that the Sammunnati launched Agri Elevate, India's first ecosystem platform during November 2020 to digitally connect FPOs and agri enterprises, and would like to fill the gaps in the FPO ecosystem. So when this Agri Elevate has come into being, I would like to suggest few points for consideration in this context for the technology developers. They should create and maintain a complete digital database of FPOs that cover detailing of farmer members along with the land and crop profile, business activities of FPOs, financial resources and management of FPOs, which would provide various lending institutions access to the performance of the FPOs. Digitization of various processes in the supply chain, which would empower FPOs to remotely track their produce from farm to shelf. Monitoring post-harvest processes such as grading, cleaning, packaging, marketing, and allows complete traceability of the produce along with the supply chain. Traceability provides an advantage for FPOs to market their produce in quality-conscious metro markets, export markets, and helps them to create a credible brand value and build trust of traders as well as consumers. And an FPO-friendly market portal that can provide details of agri produce ready for sale or purchase and enable transaction services. ENAM technology-driven unified national market platform integrates physically dispersed markets. So now the time has come to put these FPOs on this one. Right now, around 1,000 FPOs have already been registered. Configuration of expert recommended advisory for best package of practices for climate smart and sustainable agriculture is also a necessity. Establishing a connect with the universities and labs, weather stations can provide a real-time farm advisory, which is the requirement for the farmers due to the climate change impact which they are facing. Dissemination of information to farmers with respect to the most recent news and announcements from the government that benefit the FPOs and its farmers. And also the Uberization type of experiments happening in the farm machinery are also a requirement right now. However, after doing all these things, how to ensure price stability and reasonable returns to the farmer? We have to work through a new mechanism like market linkages through commodity exchanges. Linking farmers to futures and options markets can be mutually beneficial to both the markets and the farmers. It can help farmers in better price discovery and hedging their price risk while taking cropping decisions based on future prices rather than previous season prices. Again, I would like to put in inverted commas that they can take cropping decisions based on future prices rather than previous season prices and provide more liquidity to markets for their deepening. Currently, farmers in the overall agri-futures trading in India is negligible due to factors like lack of understanding of these markets, lack of liquidity, and fulfilling regulatory requirements. Commodity exchanges also don't entertain a minimum small size of the things, and they prescribe a minimum quality standards, which often cannot be met by the small and marginal farmers. In this context, FPOs have distinct role and potential for onboarding commodity exchange, as they can build the much needed scale by aggregation, maintain quality standards, and increase outreach to farmers. Linking of farmers and FPOs with commodity markets is essential to enhance the level of interaction and connectivity with the national and global markets, retailers, exporters, and bulk buyers in order to enable them to realize optimum returns of their produce. NCDEX, as you are aware, have recently taken an initiative to incentivize FPOs for participation in options. The exchange will bear the entire premium to be borne by farmers for put options in rapeseed and chana in a bid to familiarize options. NCDEX has also developed an index called the AgriDex, which is India's first return-based agricultural futures index. I am extremely happy to share that NABARD is in dialogue with NCDEX for scaling up onboarding of FPOs to commodity exchanges for options trading and setting an earmarked fund aside for this purpose. So what is the way forward for all of us in doing this one? Towards making these FPOs successful, the stakeholders need to enable FPOs to make efforts to learn the business rules, compliance needs, and market preferences, and accordingly develop sound business plans with participation of all members. The business plan must focus on products basket and services and to ensure that over 75% of members participate in the business of the FPO. My request to the financial institutions is that they should innovate credit products for the FPOs based on region-specific models and may act as financial service provider and not merely as a lender to FPOs. Again, I would like to put in inverted commas. They should act as a financial service provider and not as merely a lender to the FPOs to ensure that all stakeholders have access to KCC, insurance, and other financial services. Value chain players may come forward, invest in agri-value chain more aggressively, and leverage the FPO strength in aggregation and marketing. Linking FPOs with commodity markets and ENAM to enhance the level of participation and interaction and also connectivity with the national and global markets, retailers and bulk buyers in order to enable them to realize optimal returns to their produce. Besides recognizing the active and well-performing FPOs, the stakeholders need to extend necessary support to such FPOs and transform at least 10 FPOs in the state into a model successful business enterprise within a reasonable time framework. This will inspire other FPOs in the state to make efforts towards achieving the intended objective of increasing farmers' income. Being chairman of the largest development bank of the nation, dedicated to agricultural rejuvenation, farmers' welfare, and rural development, I have immense faith in these organizations, which can only bring a paradigm shift to the Indian agriculture, which is standing on a precipice now. I thank both Sammunati and the Economic Times for the opportunity given to me to address the participants at this virtual summit. I wish the summit all success, and I hope the recommendations will be taken forward for the benefit of FPOs and also the Indian agriculture. Thank you all.